All right. I am super excited. This is legitimately one of my favorite people in the whole world. I get to spend so much time with you, Jackie. I actually probably see you more than I see my friends that live in the same town as me. So, which I think is super duper cool. But I have Jackie O'Connor with us today. Jackie is out of Boston, Massachusetts. And I think we met 3 or 4 years ago. Oh, it was a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. Probably one of the greatest relationships I've made through real estate so far. I think I've told you that not long ago, but I truly believe it. I really, really mean it. So Jackie, tell me a little bit about you. Obviously I just said you're in Boston, so share more about that and what your business structure looks like right now.
Sure, absolutely. So I am completing my 20th year in real estate, which feels insane to say. I started my real estate career in Michigan, actually, in 2005. And I thought I could do it on my own at the time. I had just moved there. I didn't know anyone in real estate and had just recently purchased my own home in Boston, but had relocated to Ann Arbor, Michigan with a partner. And I knew I always wanted to be in real estate, but I didn't have the discipline as an early 20-something to, be that self-starter and, the whole, like, you can sleep in till noon and then get up and make some phone calls and make money. Like, I just knew that wasn't going to work.
Wait a minute. So this is literally, I'm going to have to play this on repeat for so many agents. You have no idea, right? Like, isn't that what we think? Like, oh man, I get to make my own schedule. Yeah, you do. It's called that you're going to work 24 hours. Not really, but you got your own schedule means you got to get up and go to work. Yeah.
That's right. And I knew I didn't have that discipline at 22. So I transitioned a little bit later at 28 into real estate. And I had joined Coldwell Banker because they were really good in Boston. And so I just thought they're good in Boston, they must be good everywhere. And it was not a good office in Michigan. They really don't have any market share there or I think a quality office, at least in 2005.
Right.
And so someone had said to me, why don't you join a team? And I was like, no. And I had been recommended to work with Martin Bama of the Bama Group, who was like the #1 agent in the Midwest before Jeff Glover came along and blew him out of the water.
There's going to be a fight over this video now. Just kidding. Martin and Jeff are good friends. Right? Yeah.
So at any rate, and so I just went on Craigslist and went into the jobs ad and typed in real estate agent, buyer's agent, and up came the Bama Group, which I didn't know at the time that it was them. And I had knew someone who was actively working on the team. And when I interviewed with them, yes, my friend Pamela had bought with one of their buyer's agents. And so Pamela said to me, all sort of, kismet, I think. And that she had said to me, you should only work with the Bama Group. They're the best. And I was like, no, I'm going to call a banker. I know what I know. And that was right. And then meanwhile, serendipitously, it's Martin. And I ended up asking him, he said he was letting someone go on the team that was not performing and that he needed someone new. And I said, well, I know of someone on your team, is it Heidi? Can I call her? And he said, no, Heidi's my superstar. You can call her and, talk to her about the office and the culture and all of those things. And so I ended up joining and I was there for 3 years.
Nice.
Yeah, it was 3 years. I did 22 transactions in my first year.
Wow.
And that was all from internet leads.
Wow. Okay.
We did not do open houses. They did not work there. The market was rapidly declining at that time.
Yeah, you're talking that 2006, right? You're heading into 2006, 7, 8, 9 now you're talking? Yikes.
Yeah. In Michigan, where, there was all the car layoffs. There was Pfizer closed, which is the largest private employer in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So literally people were just dumping their houses. There'd be 150 unit, community, and 50% of them would be for sale. Which was I
think a lot of agents today have no idea what that looks like. So that's probably incredibly scary.
Yes. And honestly, this is nothing. Like when people complaining about the market and how they are worried of they're not selling enough. It's like, you have no idea that it was a declining market. I was a buyer's agent only. We didn't have access to listings. So, I had to convince people that they should buy a home because they were committed to staying in the area. And, then 5 months later, the house would be worth, a third less. It was great. It was insane, but I was very successful there. And I remember Martin's a very tracking type of guy. And he had me, we tracked every lead that came in, where the lead source came from, because he's a high C. And I was every 11 sign calls, I would convert someone into a closed buyer.
That's pretty dang good, my friend. That is pretty dang good. I can tell you, as a happy tracker myself, I really love to hear that, especially when we think back again, the market we're talking about. So that's impressive numbers.
Yeah, I hold on to that to this day, because we don't get sign calls here in Boston.
Right.
Almost never. So it's just one of those skills where I'm like, okay, that's too bad. I was really good at that. But at any rate, and then I decided to move back to Boston. Just felt like the right thing for me at the time. And I had a condo here, and I moved back to Boston, and I was very interested in joining a team because I understood the value of a team. I was in my early 30s, and so I joined a local team here. I joined the Stephen Cohen team, and I worked with him for 6 years.
Wow, that's a long time to be on a team. I mean, 3 years, frankly, when we look at the turnover numbers for teams, and I studied that very closely. And some of it is natural turnover, of course, but 6 years is a long time.
Yeah, it was, and we're in a really good place. I didn't, I really had no intention of starting my own team or being in that zone. I'm not the type that needs my name in lights. I don't need to be in control. I don't need to have, the awards, that you get.
Yeah.
One came today.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I just don't need that. I was just like, I want to have a great quality of life. And I want to make as much money as possible, to enjoy my life and help support my family and, charitable organizations that I'm interested in.
Now, let me ask you really quick, transitioning from that Ann Arbor, Michigan market into Boston, just in our conversations and you sharing how Boston real estate is, it is very unique over, I think, a majority of the areas. Now, some of your other luxury areas may be very similar, but I think the majority of real estate agents won't understand what that market looks like. So do you feel like by joining a team, it kind of helped you learn the, customs of the real estate industry there in Boston?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in Michigan, it was a lockbox culture. The listing agent never went on the appointment. They, all feedback was done through an email to the agent, the listing agent. They never attended a walkthrough. We didn't even attend home inspections. The home inspector were licensed with the board, and they would go in the house with the buyer alone. Wow. And then moving back to Boston, where the listing agent shows up for every appointment, every walkthrough, the home inspection, every showing. They're always there along with you when you're representing the buyer. And so it's much more labor intensive here, but also things move so quickly here that, in a matter of a few hours, you can be under agreement. We have private databases where we put our off-market listings, and if you don't pay to be a part of that, you're missing out, because it goes on the showing start at 8 a.m. on Saturday, they post Friday night, and then by noon it's gone.
Yeah, this is a unique market, right? And more of a luxury market, really. So you went from, I would say, traditional agency, right? Like traditional real estate salesperson into, boom, you're in the Boston market. This is luxury, and it's totally different than anything you had seen before. So that's a quick, rapid change. And you've done very well with it, obviously, over the years.
Yeah, it was a quick change because I already had the foundations of, understanding how to write a contract and the important things on there. And I understood how to use a, MLS database, and I understood how to use, at the time we were using Top Producer, very old.
Oh my gosh. Like a little bit of PTSD, by the way, from my first foray into real estate as an admin. for a lovely, lovely agent who didn't know how to use email and didn't know how to use Top Producer. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're good. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
bring it back. And so I was ahead of the game in that way, so I could really focus on, while I had lived in Boston prior to moving to Michigan, I didn't understand it from the real estate perspective. All the buildings, oh, this one doesn't allow dogs, or only dogs under 40 pounds, or, max 2 animals, or just all the things that you need to know in order to service the buyers and sellers quickly. Do they want to rent this property? Oh, well, this place you have to own or occupy for a year. Let's not even waste our time showing it. Things like that. So it allowed me to be able to focus much more on that, and to focus on really growing the business, and recognizing here that the hand holding of the consumer and client is so much more than it ever was in Michigan. And the demands of the client, they know as much as you know about price per square foot, what someone paid for their house 5 years ago. This was even before it was on Zillow. Like, they would have researched it already before you even showed them the property.
Well, you're dealing with quite a few analytical clients just by the nature of the industries there in the Boston area, I would assume, right? So I can only imagine that you're seeing a lot more people who, like you said, come with the same amount of knowledge. So how does that present itself in your ability to find additional value that you're providing? What would you say makes you more valuable to these people that are coming with all this knowledge, obviously?
Right. So I think part of it is they have the knowledge, but they don't know how to put that on paper as to how that applies to the particular property they're interested in, especially in a niche market like Boston, where we don't have, large homes in a tract community where, okay, this one backed to wood, so add 10%, but that one had a fireplace and this one had granite. So, all in the wash, this one should be 15K more. It's like, no, this one is a corner. You're getting 3 extra windows. There's parking, the alley's paved versus unpaved. Like, there's so many nuances that's what they're looking for from us, is like, okay, how can you help me justify this price, to pay this price, or to sell for this price? I want what I want, but I'm also want the place, right? And someone recently said to me this last weekend, and I used it on one of my Wellington partner clients, and she's very sassy and I love her. And I met her at an open house in 2013. And I was like, she's sassy.
We are girls who like sassy. So
yes. Yeah, I know. And I was like, I want her. I'm getting her. And they've been a client and bought and sold. And I said to her, look, you can either have a deal or you can have the house. Because she wanted, she wants a deal. She's a finance.
Wait, say that again. Say that one more time, because this is something I hope that everybody's writing down right now, and go ahead and put it into your vocabulary, right?
Yes.
What was it again?
So you can either have the deal or you can have the house.
Yeah, brilliant. It's so true, because I think as I talk to agents across the country, and you and I have spoken about this, there are cases where there's still a ton of competition in almost every market, right? Like, not all of your market will have competition, but there are always pockets that will have competition, or the perfect house that's going to have competition. That nugget that you just dropped is going to be so valuable for every agent to just have in their back pocket, to bring right out and say, look, you got 2 options, right?
Yes.
You can either have a deal or you can have the house. What would you prefer? And I love that. That's great. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was really good. And she even said, that's good, Jack. And I sort of giggled to myself, and I was like,
it was like, you did it to me. Yeah.
Yes, you did it to me. Yes. And I was at a networking event. I belong to executive coaching group by Ben Kinney called Metrics. And I was just casually chatting with one of the guys there, and he threw that nugget out. And I was like, I'm going to use that tonight when I get on the phone with him. And boy, did it work. And they came up $300,000 to buy a $2.3 million place when they didn't want to pay hair over 2.1. So yeah, so it was great.
Yeah. But you came in with a simple, small, let's just make this point really quick so we're all on the same page. These are your options. And you got that, right? I hate to, back up, but you got that from what you and I both love to do and how we met. And that's through these networking events and these different events we attend all the time. And man, do they not transform your business? And now you've got clients under contract because of this one little conversation you had for the perfect home.
for the perfect home. And granted, they've been renting for 7 years. So we did 4 transactions in 6 years, and then they've been renting for 7. So she needed a little tough love, and I also knew she could handle it. But I think it's important. I mean, you can obviously soften that a little bit for your, the particular people, but even if there wasn't competition on this home was overpriced, in my opinion. And so, they were able to also recognize the value that, like, intrinsically they're going to live there for 20 years. Like, this is the forever home. And so it just made sense that maybe they're paying a little bit more than they wanted to, but they're getting the house.
And so that's, what I think is really cool about that is in the luxury market, that's important. That's also still important in traditional real estate markets, right? In a regular real estate market that might not be luxury, these conversations still need to be had. And I think that's super interesting. Obviously, I don't do a ton of luxury in my market, heavy, military VA. And so I always find that really interesting when you see, you always I think of luxury like, oh, I have to be this whole other agent and I have to treat them in a different way. When the reality is, no, it's the same thing. It may, every market's going to have their hand holding and they're going to have their different quirks and things like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, every home buyer is a home buyer.
That's right. They are. And they want to secure the best value that they can at the time, but also obtain their objectives, right? Which is to find a home to, make their home, find a property to make it their home, if you will. So that was a great nugget. And I definitely, feel like that can be utilized in so many different ways. Like, you can either have X or Y, you pick, and then you're sort of putting the onus back on the client to make that choice.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's phenomenal. Super helpful. And I'll be dropping that to my team tomorrow at our team meeting. I love that so much. So when we talk about now, luxury lead generation, right? What does that look like? Is it mostly referral based at this point? Like, I have it in my head that, luxury lead generation isn't going to be our online leads necessarily. I mean, there could be option for that, but I have it like, maybe it's more referral based. You tell me.
For me personally, it's referral based. And although I will tell you that I just closed a deal. I had the listing and the buyer's agent said they came from Zillow, and he met them out front for $2 million. He met them out front of the house and, said, look, I just want to let you know, I'm going to be introducing myself. I've never met these people before. They're a Zillow lead. And they ended up buying the place. So, you never know.
Right.
You really never know. And I think as a consumer sometimes doesn't understand, like, oh, they're not getting the listing agent. I think they thought they were getting a listing agent, but then it was too late, right? With the contracts and things that one has to sign now. Right. And so, but yes, so I think it can come from Zillow. It can happen. I think more for me, it's the referrals from the, once you get one, and then you ask for introductions to other people in the world, you attend their child's birthday party. Maybe it's on a Saturday when you don't want to, but you do it. And that has created raving fans for life. And it's not that you don't want to go to the birthday party, but you're like, gosh, I'm tired. I could just use some me time. Yeah. But making those steps to do those things and stay engaged and to show them that you're their, real estate economist of choice, and that they come to you when, they need anything, or anyone in their world needs real estate. That is really how you truly create raving fans, especially in the luxury market.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, staying in relationship with the people that you work with is so vital. And honestly, I've seen that more in the last 2 years on our side with orphan buyers, right? So buyers for our listings who have come back to us because we've stayed in relationship with them, after the sale is closed. Everybody. After the sale is closed. Yes. We have stayed in relationship with these folks who were not our clients to begin with. And now, because we stayed in relationship with them, they've come back to us. And so that just, seals the deal on your point right there, right? Like, it's all about the relationships that you're building. And I think that's true, definitely in the luxury market. I could totally see that, especially from a lead generation standpoint. Holy moly, if you're going to get referrals, how are they going to refer somebody that they maybe spent a couple hours with, 5, 6, 10 hours maybe at the end of the day, close the transaction and never heard from them again.
Right. Exactly. So there's that piece. And then also in our market, open houses work here. COVID was an exception. They didn't really work during that time in terms of picking people up, but that has sort of shifted now as new blood has moved into the area, and, and people now are shifting and they don't have relationships. And so we try to always host open houses on all of our luxury listings. That we just find that very, very crucial to know that. And then just knowing the market, so when your client emails you and says, hey, did you see this? And you say, yes, I did. And I've already called about it. And here's X, Y, and Z. And literally that happened to me this morning. I was ahead of the client and they were like so impressed. So that's, I think, a big part of it too, is working.
Well, there's your value.
There's your value, right? In addition to disseminating, to getting back to that, in addition to disseminating and helping them understand the information, they might know the information, but they don't know what it means. But it's also being the purveyor of off-market properties. People really value that, and it's a large percentage of our business here. And like it can be upwards of 20% some months that are happening off-market. Absolutely. Especially with like Compass coming soon, like we monitor Compass coming soon, for our clients because they're on there. So we
real quick. So we don't have Compass in our area. I'm familiar with that, but there may be other areas that don't have Compass coming soon. I know it's actually pushing to be a bigger thing nationwide. Can you tell everybody what Compass coming soon is?
Yeah. So Compass is a luxury firm that was started, well, they say they're luxury, but I mean, they do all price points, but they were started in 2014. And it's VC backed. They've been losing money until I think this last quarter, so almost 11 years, they've never made a dollar. But anyway, we love that. But they have something on their website where once they sign a listing agreement and they have photos, but they're just waiting based on timing, they'll post it in Compass coming soon if they have permission. And so any consumer or agent can go on and set up a search and receive emails of the coming soon listings. So that's one thing that they do in their market, and they do double side a lot of deals because of that, because it also goes into their internal market as well.
And I know in some places too, just as a caveat, sometimes that's considered against cooperation. So obviously check your MLS and your brokerage's rules on things like that. But I know actually there's a lot of talk about Compasses coming soon, actually this last week. So that may become a bigger conversation in the future for sure. Well, I do want to pivot really quick before we wrap things up. So something else that I love that you have brought into your world is your Airbnb business, right? So tell me a little bit. You own quite a few Airbnbs, and now I know in the last year or two, I can't remember how long it's been, you've even Airbnb'd your personal residence at times. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I had a client who moved to Israel, and she was renting out her apartment in the city of Boston. And I thought, she's pretty incredible. She's doing this from, 8-hour time change. I think it's 7 or 8 hour time change difference. And she's renting out her apartment, with like 2-night minimums. And at the time she was showing me her numbers, it was probably like 2014, and she was making like $9,000 a month, where the monthly rent of that apartment would have been $2,500.
Wow. And
then she was still able to use it when she came home to visit family and friends. So it gave her a lot of utility in that way. And so I thought, gosh, wow, I could do this. And so I was on vacation in Savannah, Georgia, and I had just refied a property and pulled out a bunch of money. And my friends kept saying, you should just look, like, you should look down here. You love it here. There's a direct flight now on JetBlue, and, and so you don't go to Boston, Atlanta, Savannah. And I was like, all right, fine. And I was like, I don't want to waste a realtor's time. But I finally decided the morning before my flight, I called a local agent, and she took me out, showed me 3 places. 2 were off market, and I bought the first place I saw.
Wow.
And I thought, I'll just put this on and we'll see what happens, but I'm going to use it a lot. And then my mom relocated to the area, and then all of a sudden it just really took off and has been a huge profit center for me. I feel like it sort of opened me up to having these auxiliary properties that you use, but then they're also paying you. So
Right.
paying to own them. And so then I've added 2 more to my portfolio since then. And then the third one that I added, I wanted to Airbnb it out. It's also at a beach location in Massachusetts. And then I was like, wait a minute, I really want to be at the beach for the summer. Why don't I rent my Boston apartment out? And so that came to be, and it's been so successful that it's been really incredible in terms of like I just had a $40,000 assessment and I was able to just write a check for it because, who cares? I'm making Airbnb money. So it's been really, really positive for my, personal growth. And then it's also led me to teach others. So I've sold close to 25 properties to my friends and family, and some of them own 4 at this point now. And they're all super profitable. I taught them how to run them themselves. Some of them said, I'm tired of it. Will you manage this for me? So then it created another company where now I have an auxiliary company where we have an Airbnb property management business as well. So it's been really exciting and kind of a crazy ride. And my goal was to sort of replace my full real estate income in retirement. Sort of my goal was to make $220,000 a year in retirement. And I've made that by far, surpassed that after mortgage and expenses on the property. So I frankly could retire now and just live off the Airbnb income.
See, and that's the goal. I think sometimes in real estate, and I know a lot of people talk about it. I mean, let's be real. This isn't like rocket science for me to bring this up, but I love the idea of passive income. This is not passive. You're managing it. You do have to put the effort and the time in. However, at some point, you are no longer going to be day-to-day selling real estate, right? You're building a business there. You may golden handcuff it. There's always ways to sell your team and things like that. However, this residual income through the Airbnb, that's potentially forever, which then, like you said, sets you up for retirement. And not only that, so you've got the equity in these properties, you've got these real estate holdings now, right? So should you need anything, it's there, right? And you're buying in areas that people come to travel. They want to come see you. They're coming to visit, those kind of things. And so I think that's smart too. Were you strategic in picking those locations out? Obviously, I know you were in Savannah, and we all know Savannah is a wonderful tourism spot, but was that part of the thought process, the strategy on it?
And initially, no, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I just sort of lucked into a great place. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, Savannah's the number 8 tourist destination in the entire United States. Like, holy cow, wow. I knew it was busy, but I didn't know the actual statistics. And I was very early on that. I bought it in the summer of 2016. And I just sort of thought, well, if Shira can do it from Israel, I certainly can do it from the same time zone, a 2-hour flight away. Like, that was sort of where my mindset was. I am a little bit fly by the seat of my pants kind of lady. And so then it became like, oh, I should be more strategic about this. Look, I have this vacation home that I can use, but now I want something local that I can drive to. And what does that look like? And where is my budget? And how can I retrofit that? And I just, randomly ran into this little island called Plum Island, which is an hour north of Boston. And, it's changed my life being up there. In fact, some of my family moved there because they fell in love with going to this location too. And so it's been really wonderful. I highly recommend it. And I'm happy to chat with anyone. You can always DM me and we can set a time to talk if you have further interest about Airbnb and what that could do for you and your family.
I agree. I mean, I think if anybody reaches out to you, I hope that's one of the things they talk to you about for sure. But Jackie, I appreciate you jumping on with me. You know how much I love you. I get to see you in a couple of weeks.
I know.
Like just a couple more days. I mean, we were just together. And so it's been a full Jackie O'Connor year for me already, which I don't hate in the first quarter right now. But yeah, I sincerely hope everybody puts you down for any of their Boston referrals, but also, like you said, if they have questions about Airbnb, maybe even dipping their toe in the luxury market, or even what it looks like to be on a team and then say, hey, I kind of want to go do my own team. maybe those are a couple of things that I know you're such a giver that I know that you're more than willing to chat with everybody. But I will also add really quickly, when Jackie and I met, it was so funny. I said to Jackie, I was like, you know what stinks, Jackie, is I'll never have a referral for Boston for you. And I want to say 2 weeks later, I had a buyer referral. They had been working with another agent. They were very unhappy for Jackie. And when I say she crushed it, she crushed it. So I can personally say that Jackie O'Connor is the best agent in Boston for all of your referrals. So you must save her information. We will have all of her information posted below so you can add her on Facebook, connect with her on Instagram, and of course, send her all your referrals. And you're the best. I love you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care, everybody.